it's Ariana, welcome back to my channel. So for tonight's video, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. As per usual, I have my Wicca candle in here, making the whole room smell like caramel apple. And I did want to highlight my new cup. Look how ridiculously awesome this cup is. I got this from just like the local mall near my house, and it's from the Dixie Studios, I believe is the lady that does these. So I'll post her information down below. This is not sponsored or anything by her. I am just obsessed with this cup, and I absolutely adore it, and I have been carrying it around for like a month now, and it's getting my water intake solved because I have no problem drinking with this cup all fucking day. But I just wanted to showcase just how absolutely beautiful my bedazzled cup is. So I'll put her information down below if you guys are interested. She has tons of different colors. I really want the blue one, but the purple one was the only one that they had in store at the time. So you can definitely order from her Instagram if you are interested, and I am obsessed with it. But as per usual, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. So I'm going to be reading Let's Not Meet stories. So I have a bunch saved and I am ready to go. And I've had a couple of these saved for like a couple of months, and I'm very excited. And my hair is incredibly curly today because I just did a heatless curl thing, and I like slept in it overnight, and then I left it all day because I was curious to see if I left it in for like 24 hours. And honestly, these curls are beautiful, and I'm super excited that I bought a new one because the last one that I had was from Curling Headband or something. That was the company, and my curler started to like get all bunched up at the bottom, and then it didn't make curls properly anymore. So I bought a new one off of Amazon, and this one was way cheaper, and honestly, it works way better. So I'm very excited, and it was actually comfortable to sleep in. So all that rambling out of the way, let's jump into the Let's Not Meet stories. So the first one that I'm gonna read is from, again, the Let's Not Meet section. It is from the Reddit author Aurora9794, and it's titled, Someone Keeps Knocking at My Door Late at Night. In June of this year, I moved out of my parents' apartment as I finally got a steady job and longed for some sort of freedom. I looked for apartments that were affordable in my city and found one that was about a 2 to 3 minute walk from my parents' apartment. To me, this was perfect. I'd get to live alone, and my parents would still be nearby, so I could visit them whenever I wanted to pop in to have breakfast. My apartment itself was great. It's not really much to look at, but for a single male, it was more than enough. My apartment has a long corridor connecting each room together from the sides, with my front door being at the start of the corridor. My bedroom is the second room on the left, but since the walls are pretty thin, you can literally hear people in the apartment complex walking, talking, etc. from my bedroom, and any room for that matter. Last week, I came home from the pub after meeting up with a few of my friends. It wasn't really late, maybe around 10:15 or 10:30, and I had the day off, so I took a shower and hopped into bed to watch Netflix. It was probably around midnight when I heard a faint knock coming from the front door. I stopped the show that I was watching, and I listened for a minute, and I just thought that it was my mind playing tricks on me. I continued watching Netflix when once again, I heard a 2-motion knock on my door. I sat up from bed, went to the door, and I looked through the peephole, and sure enough, it was pitch black. I shrugged it off and I went back to my room, but before I could even sit down properly, I heard a slightly louder knock, knock. At this point, I thought it was my friend playing a prank on me, so I called him and I asked if he was knocking on my door, and if he was, it wasn't amusing. He paused for a second and said, "No, I'm at home. I have to be up in the morning." I believed him and I hung up the phone. I was talking pretty loudly, so whoever was knocking probably heard me as soon as I hung up, and I heard another knock. At this point, I was getting pretty pissed off, so I walked to the door, looked through the peephole, and I saw nothing. I then unlocked the door, took a peek, and closed the door and locked it. Me being angry and a bit intoxicated, I decided to wait and catch whoever was knocking. So I spent a solid 10 minutes silently looking through the peephole before being a bit startled as someone put their hand over the peephole and knocked again. I immediately started unlocking the door and ran out of my apartment. I heard someone running as fast as they could down the steps, and I heard them supposedly lean against the wall as his jacket shrugged the wall. So I ran a few steps down before realizing whoever this was waiting behind the corner to jump me. I hurried back inside and I called the police. They were here within a few minutes and they scanned the building and the street, but couldn't find anyone. They told me that it might just be some kids pulling a prank and to never run after someone. They kept a patrol around the entire night and the knocking stopped. It could have been some kids being dumb, but the part that gave me the fucking creeps was the fact that whoever it was ran down the stairs and stopped behind the corner. They didn't keep running. If it were some prankster, I find it more likely that they would have just booked it outside. As I said, it's been a week and the knocking has stopped. It kept me on edge for a few days because I was expected to get jumped by someone when walking into my apartment, but so far, nothing has come of it. So whoever that was, let's not meet again. That's really creepy. That is really odd that they stopped running. Maybe they're asthmatic. I don't know. Maybe they were just catching their breath. But like, it is very odd that they stopped running and they were waiting for you to like come after them. Like, that's really creepy. I don't like that at all. So definitely listen to the police and do not run after somebody like that, because I know your adrenaline is going and I know you want to, but it's not safe to do that. So I'm glad nothing actually happened to you, but that's still really creepy. The next story that I want to read is again from the Let's Not Meet section. It is from the Reddit author conscious_reading_16, and it's titled Narrowly Avoided Being Murdered. This is a story of someone I knew and had cut ties with because he was a fucking psycho. The first half will be to add context as to why I cut him off, and the second half is what makes it a Let's Not Meet story. I don't know if he uses Reddit, so I will omit ages and locations. It started about 4 years ago when I was living in a friend's house while attending a nearby university. It was myself, my friend, my sister, and their parents. Roughly about 2 weeks into staying there, my friend's sister invited her boyfriend to live in the house too, and by all accounts, he was a pretty cool guy at first. Very sociable and full of great stories. We often sat around the table for drinks or talked about life, having smokes in the garden. Within the first month, however, as he started to get comfortable, cracks started to show in his veneer. He would rant about government conspiracies, how he was always a wronged party, that he was big into bullshit and martial arts, and he had a temper. He had this big dog he always kept in a cage that was extremely violent when he wasn't around. About 2 months later, he had the bright idea to live in a shipping container, mainly because the parents wanted him out, and dragged his girlfriend along for the ride. I'm not talking about one of those cheap little restorations. This was a rented container in a storage yard along the outskirts of the town we were living in. He would intimidate and threaten the staff there constantly until they called the police. This, of course, was another conspiracy. He became increasingly abusive to his girlfriend to the point where her family got involved to get her out. I sat close to them, having pretended to be on his side until we could safely get her out. They broke up, which he blamed on me, claiming I was poisoning her against him to make her mine. She has a new partner now, and they're very happy. We all blocked the Psycho X on everything possible, but he continued to harass them until eventually he disappeared, or so we thought. Fast forward to last year. I started to receive messages over social media from several different accounts, blocking each one in turn when I discovered who it was. Some friendly and some hostile. One of these profiles, however, was pretending to be someone I knew from university. We talked about life and how things were going, and eventually I was invited to a house party, claiming it was a free house and plenty of people were going. I booked the time off work, made the travel plans, and kept talking to this friend, coming up to the date of the party. I mentioned it to my friend's sister, and she was interested in going herself, until I mentioned the address, and she started panicking. The address in question was a property belonging to the crazy ex's father that was scheduled for sale. I waited until the day of the party and called the police to check the property, claiming a suspected break-in. They found 5 people there, including the ex. Parked out in front was a butcher van equipped for food storage and a collection of knives, hammers, and rope. I'm glad I didn't go. So the Psycho X, let's never meet again. Holy crap, that's so fucking scary. I'm so glad that you told your friend's sister or your sister that you were gonna go to this party and the location so that they could look into it, because that is fucking terrifying. You never know what could have happened. Why did they have a butcher van? Why did they have knives and hammers and rope? What the fuck? That is some crazy fucking behavior. I'm so glad that you didn't go, and that is so scary. Oh my goodness. The next story that I want to read is from the True Scary Story section, and it's from the Reddit author Chilling Nightmares. This one's titled Trophies of Horror. In my hometown of Nashville, we had 3 different science teachers in the winter semester of my senior year. We all loved Miss Harper, but she went on maternity leave, and her replacement was a nut job. She was a complete psycho. She lasted 2 weeks before the principal had to let her go. They had a disagreement about what science is and what religion is. She was replaced by Mr. Christensen. The first thing he does is redecorate the science lab with his taxidermy. Some are pretty cool, but it freaked out a lot of the kids, especially the freshmen. He had all kinds of animals stationed all around the lab. On his desk up front, he had an armadillo, and on top of his chemistry cabinet, a raccoon. The girls found the possum the creepiest, because its eyes were so bright and seemed to stare at you from whatever room you were in. I was fascinated by the taxidermy, and I looked closely at the animals with Mr. Christensen. He's weird, but knowledgeable. He said taxidermy has been his hobby since he was in high school. I complimented his work, and he just swelled with pride. He was more used to criticism and shrieks than compliments. Several classmates accused me of sucking up to get a better grade, but I was awed by the realness in their eyes. Mr. Christensen even said the eyes are the key to great taxidermy. In life, the eyes of humans and animals are the most intricately designed feature of our faces. Our eyes are as unique as our personalities. Our eyes aren't just the windows to our souls. They are our souls. Fast forward 10 years. I'm working in Nashville and married. My wife and I love these crime scene investigation shows. So in the evening before bed, we were watching one. And on this night, they were dissecting the crimes of a serial killer, and they put up a picture of a man's face on the screen. And it was my senior year science teacher. He wasn't the victim of the coroner's table. He was the killer. He was our science teacher only for a few months, as Miss Harper returned after her maternity leave in the spring. But for 3 months, we had a serial killer as our teacher. The scariest thing was that he took trophies from each victim. If you already guessed, it was their eyes. Oh my God, that is so fucking creepy. I don't know if that's a true story or not, but that is fucking terrifying if that is. Thank you so much for allowing me to read that, but oh my God, that is so terrifying. Holy crap, I can't even imagine. That is so gross and scary to think about. The next one I'm gonna read is again from the True Scary Story section, and this is from the Reddit author Jane's Smell, and it's titled, "Is My House Haunted, or Isn't My Crazy Ex Messing With Me?" This goes back to 2016, but since I'm new to Reddit, I thought I'd post it here to see what you guys think, because I still don't know what to think. I bought my first house in 2016 on my own as a single young woman. I was so proud and excited, especially after finally leaving the toxic guy I was with the previous 5 years on and off. It was a fresh start that I needed. Anyways, I moved in. Just me with no roommate, and my ex had never been there. The house was a small 2-bedroom rancher built in the 50s, but updated a little bit. It had a dirt crawl space for storage and a huge fenced yard with 3 gates. A metal gate, a small gate to get to the front door, and an old wooden gate to pull into the covered garage. I'm a nursing assistant, so I do a lot of night shifts. So after living in that house for a few weeks, I get home from a night shift around 6 a.m., starting to get light outside, and I noticed that there's apples all over my front yard. Not apples off of a tree, store-bought apples, with the stickers thrown all over my front yard. I was tired and kind of just brushed it off as kids messing around, and I went to sleep. A few weeks later, I get off another night shift and everything seemed normal, as most mornings are, so I went to bed. I had a house sitter that weekend prior, as I went on a girls' trip with some of my friends. So the house sitter had some people over to have some drinks, which was fine with me, but they left cans in my fire pit. When I woke up after sleeping that day, I went to let my dog outside to pee, and in the backyard, all of the cans, as well as burnt chunks of wood, were laid in a perfect circle around the outside of the fire pit. This seemed odd, but I just kind of thought it was my neighbors messing around. Another few weeks go by, and I again get off night shift. I pull into my driveway, and my heart sinks to see all of my gates wide open. They were all closed and latched when I left. Something felt extremely off this time, but I was tired after a long shift and told myself not to get too freaked out over stupid kids being annoying, and I went back to sleep. That following weekend, I had it off, and my cousin wanted to go to the movies, so I agreed, and she picked me up. When I left, I put my dog in the house, locked the door, and I left the front porch light on since it would be dark when I got back home. When I got back, I came home to find my dog outside. The door left unlocked and the porch light turned off. And the switch for the light is inside my house. This time, I freaked out. I called my dad to come check the house for me, and I was convinced someone had done this from the inside and that someone was living in my crawl space. But he came and checked, and he didn't find anything. I ended up getting a roommate to ease my mind a little, and I feel a little safer. Guy from work was looking for a place, and I offered it to him, and he accepted. He was a big dude, so I felt if someone was messing with me, they would think twice with him living there. I was wrong. One night, I was home alone as my roommate was working night shift. I fell asleep on the couch watching a movie, and I woke up to a missed call from a random number. I Googled the number since I had never seen it before, and it was a number from one of those apps you could download to call or text anonymously. So I tried calling it back with no answer. Then seconds later, I get a text saying, "How was the movie?" I asked who it was, and they said, "Who do you think it is?" I asked my roommate if he was messing with me, and he replied from his normal number, he wasn't. So I tell the random number to cut it out, that it isn't funny, but they continue to say things to me as if they can see me. I'm super creeped out, and I run to my window and I close the blinds. Then they begin to ask me to come outside to see who it is, and I go to my door and I lock it. They say it's Corey. I don't know anyone named Corey. I ignored the text and they eventually stopped, and I waited till my roommate got home so I could go back to sleep. Nothing ever happened again after that, and I still live in this house with my now husband. No explanation for any of it has ever come up. I'm genuinely open and curious to hear what everyone thinks about this. That is really creepy. That doesn't sound like a ghost. That really does sound like someone was messing with you. So like, it could be your ex, but you said that he's never been to your house and he doesn't even know where you moved. So unless he's stalking you, it might just be someone random, but like, how did they get inside your house? Why did they let your dog outside? That is the most fucked up part of that story to me, is the fact that they literally endangered an animal. They let the dog out and then closed the door and like turned the porch light off. Like, that's just not okay. Don't fuck with somebody's animal. That is messed up. But thank you so much for allowing me to read it. But oh my God, that is terrifying. And I probably would have moved. But like I say in all of my videos, I'm a big baby. The last story that I'm gonna read is from the Creepy Encounters section. It is from the Reddit author Unnecessarily I Love You, and it's titled, "Someone tried to follow me home yesterday, and now I don't want to leave the house." I was walking home from the store, and I saw a black box car drive past extremely slowly, and the man in the car was watching me. When he fully passed, I saw him watching me in his rearview mirror. I thought it was weird, and I slowed down my pace so that I could tell if he was waiting for me or just a really slow driver. He was still driving very slow, but moved a little when he saw two guys riding past on bikes. He then moved to the edge of the short street we were on and waited there. I was still towards the beginning of the street, so I acted like I forgot something and turned around to get out of his sight. I waited and I kind of peeked out to see if he had left. And when I saw that he was gone, I continued walking. I didn't think it would happen, but I made a mental note that if I saw the car behind me, I would circle back around. After I continued walking, I made 3 turns, and it was 3 turns away from my house. When I was walking up a little hill, and almost on the 4th turn, I looked back and I saw the man at the corner I had just turned from, letting me know he circled back around to find me. He sat there watching me, continue walking until I got up the little hill and I turned to the corner. Then, as I had just barely made the last turn and was close to my house, I saw the man's car turn the corner up the street, straight across from the way that I was walking, and he was still waiting. I pulled out my phone and I called my mom, and I walked the other way, and he left soon after I pulled out my phone. My mom came out and walked with me to the house, and I didn't see the car for the rest of the day. But I keep thinking, he knows the neighborhood that I stay in. What if he comes back? What if the next time he comes back, I'm out again by myself? What if no one's home to call? What if he sees me leaving and comes back when I'm the only one home? I'm terrified he's going to come back, and I don't want to go outside. I don't want to show him where I live, especially because I'm home alone quite often. I have summer school and I have to go out, but I don't want to leave the house in fear he might be waiting for me, and I'm constantly looking out my window to see if I can see him, especially since he was at the store I was at. He definitely stays somewhere near my neighborhood. So creepy dude that was following me, let's not meet again. Probably should maybe just file a report with the police. Maybe next time you see his vehicle, or if you see him again, get his license plate number, take a picture of him, take a picture of his license plate, just get any information that you can, and then let the police know. He might be really stalking you, which is fucking terrifying because you mentioned in your story you're only 15. So that's really fucking weird. That is very bizarre behavior. But thank you so much for allowing me to read your guys' stories. These stories were all really creepy, and this is where I'm going to end the video because we are at the 20-minute mark. So thank you so much for everybody for sending me your stories or allowing me to read your stories. If you guys have any stories you want me to read on the channel, please feel free to submit them either over my Instagram or over my email. I will definitely be reading your guys' personalized stories soon as I get them from you guys. If you guys made it to the end of the video, leave me your favorite emoji, any type of emoji you want to leave down below, or leave me just a fun little comment about how your day is going. Let me know if you guys have any topics that you guys want me to read on the channel. I'm very interested in doing a series on my channel of like myths and legends. So if you guys have any that you want me to look into and do a whole video on, please let me know in my comments down below and I'll definitely look into them. There is a bunch of myths and legends in Canada specifically, like there is Bigfoot, there is the Screaming Tunnels, which are in Ontario. There's a bunch of haunted places in Canada, and I would be very interested in doing a video on any of those topics if you guys are interested, so let me know in my comments down below. But this is where I'm going to end the video, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys at the next one. Bye!